All right, everybody, welcome back to episode number 3 of FirstRow Pod. We're moving fast, and we're coming at you hot and heavy with these podcast episodes. Today, we have the legend Harry Chaznoff. If you don't know who Harry Chaznoff is, he is someone that absolutely is for his community. He loves doing, and he loves just providing a platform for kids and even young adults and even the old guys in the Huff and Puff League to run and play ball and be involved in the center and the Sparta Community Center and play ball and have a good time. Like I said, you're so big on giving a platform for kids to have fun and play sports no matter what. They could be the most talented kid in the building, or it could be their first organized game. And the way you have that for us is through the intramural league, or the in-house league at the center, the Ballers League. And I just want you to tell me a little bit about, that first baller season when it was really like 1 or 2 grades, right?
Yeah, it's this was brought to us from 2 dads who saw a vision, and we didn't expect it, or at least I didn't know that it would turn out to be what it is today, 5 years later. When this came about, it was a 2nd and 3rd grade league, 4 teams only.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were young kids, and this is their real first experience probably playing in a league format with the rules, full court basketball, playing on the team with referees and dealing with, father coaches. The first season was amazing. And the kids who joined, some, were a little bit more experienced in the game of basketball than others,
Mm-hmm.
but it was really a platform for them to be able to learn together and learn the game of basketball and what it means to play, on a team. And you don't usually get that at such a young age. And it just grew into this phenomenon thing. And each year we just got more and more grades, and those grades grew, and we're now running a 2nd through 8th grade, boys and girls.
Yeah. I think that's,
which is fantastic.
the biggest thing that I see is this Ballers League grew so much that you can't even fit it into one day anymore. Now you guys run Saturday nights, all four gyms you have, and then all morning Sunday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's basketball running in the gym. And what I love is that it started at such a young age, and you said that it's giving these kids an experience that they couldn't get anywhere else at such a young age, to be running 4-on-4, sort of, obviously the short way, but full court basketball with referees and having that aspect of a father coaching and having, teammates to kind of learn the process of the game, obviously at such a smaller scale at 1st and 2nd grade. But I think over time, we see those kids that really started in those first few years, they're phenoms now. They are some of the best basketball players in our community. They're really great kids to watch play ball, and they're super talented. And you could tell that they got that foundation because of those first few years when that Ballers League became implemented. I have a story. Just shows how dedicated you were to getting that Ballers League up and running. It might have been the 1st or 2nd season. I wasn't there, but Jack Shile passes the story down every chance he gets. He'll never forget it when obviously you can't park outside the center in the morning. So the refs run late every single time. And no matter what we could do, we sit there panicking, where are the refs? And this was like the 1st or 2nd season. And Jack Shile was waiting there to do the book and the clock. And he's like, all right, where's the ref? And he tells it every time. All of a sudden, to see Harry run in with his whistle, and he's like, all right, ball in, let's go. Tip off. and we weren't going to take no for an answer at that point. And you'll still do it today. Either you or Jason will hop in if the ref is running a little late and just get it going for the kids so everything can go off without a hitch.
Yeah, it's not the ideal situation you definitely want to be in. And obviously, I'm not, I know the game of basketball, but I'm not a trained referee.
Mm-hmm.
But those are situations I definitely don't want to be in again, because there are so many times you're like, all right, maybe it'll be a blowout. There won't be a close game, so it won't really matter if you miss a call here and there. And I've always found myself in the situation where the game is either close, coming down to the wire, and you miss that call here and there, and then how people get when it becomes competitive. But
absolutely,
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is. It's just like you said before. It's amazing to see how these kids have grown. I mean, that class right now is going to be entering 8th grade coming this fall, and you just to see where they've become and where they came from. It's amazing.
Makes you feel old, right?
It definitely does. Times have changed, and when we were kids and what we were doing and what they're doing now, and the technology and things like that. But the love of the game, the love of the basketball in the center has never changed, and we hope obviously the times that we're in today, that we're able to get everybody back into the building. And as much as we hated Sunday mornings, waking up early in the morning and dealing with where's the referee, or where's this, or the court is slippery, the kid's not here on time, or I'll trade that any day right now to be back in that building.
I didn't hate it. I think I loved showing up there 9 a.m. just as much as any kid loved to come play ball there. That's the highlight of my week. Just what do you think is the importance of having that sort of system there for the kids, that league, and even beyond the league, having free play every night, and having other programs for kids to come into the center and kind of get away from school and being at home and just being there with their friends and collaborating and playing. What is so important about that in our community?
So, I think, the center is obviously the home away from home for a lot of people, and it gives them the opportunity after a long day of school or whatever's going on, and just being able to come to the center and to unwind. And whether it's just a pickup game, or just hanging out with friends and just shooting the ball around, or even getting a scrimmage game, playing, it's important for them. It's important for them to be able to ease their mind, and to, be carefree for a little bit and just enjoy life and enjoy being a kid. And back in our day, it was a little bit different than it is now, and a little bit more, I shouldn't say carefree, but you see them more and more that 5 o'clock or 4:45 hits on a weeknight, and the kids are just flying just from the bus with their school clothes on. They're ready to come in, and it's a great feeling. The Ballers in itself, I think, is just an important league, only because it's showing the kids. I mean, listen, we know our community is basketball dominant, more than any other sport in our community. And a lot of the kids are watching now basketball in the NBA, and they're seeing the LeBron James and the Kobe's and the Durants and the Irvings of this lifetime. They're trying to emulate them. And the one thing we try to instill in every kid, and you can attest to this, is that 2 things. Number one is you want to play the game the right way, and you want to be able to represent yourself in the right manner. And to me, it's something that I've always been, that my parents always instilled in me, and playing and any sport, whether it be softball or basketball in my time in high school, is to have great sportsmanship and to be a good teammate. Because I can attest to so many times in my career, in my short career in high school, that there were good days and there were bads, and there were good times and there were bad times that you would have in the sport. And if your teammates weren't there to pick you up, or weren't there in the same way that when you had a good game as you had in the bad one, your confidence level would be shot down pretty quickly, and you would start to second guess yourself on if you're good enough to play the game. And for the kids out there, it's about having fun. And sometimes that gets lost in all the competitiveness of, yes, everybody wants to win and everybody wants to be able to just say, oh, I won, I beat this kid, I beat that kid, I beat this team, I beat that team. But did you have fun? And if it's sort of a work, feel where you just think you have to do it and you have to be the best, I think you have to just be able to say to yourself, when I started in September, did I get better at the end of this, after this ride in March or April, wherever the time is? There was one time, I remember this one season, and I'm sure we'll get into travel basketball. I'm going to bring it up now because I think it's important. There was one season that I decided to do something in the beginning of the season where I asked each player to write down 3 goals that they want to see have, towards the season and when it's going to go. And to see where these kids' mindset were, was it, oh, I want to win a championship. Oh, I want to. But some kids actually said, I want to be a better ball handler. I want to be able to shoot better free throws. I want to be a better teammate. And you have a goal in mind that this is where I want to hit. Yeah, we may not win a championship, but at the same time, if I couldn't hit a lefty layup in the beginning of September and now I'm so much better at it now come March, to me, that's a success. That's the story you want to be able to tell. And these kids and ballers, when they're growing from second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and you can attest to it because you've been in that gym just as much as I have, you see the progression and you see how they become better players themselves, better teammates in situations, because you have to now trust each other to be able, when I pass you the ball, you're going to make the right decision. And that takes time, to build, Second grade, you don't know, everybody just wants to shoot. Everybody thinks it's all about the points. Everybody thinks it's, if I score 20 points, I'm the man. But no, if I can distribute the ball, if I can rebound, if I can play great defense. And a lot of these kids started realizing that that's not only about how many points I score. I could be a shutdown defender. There was one kid I'm not going to name his name, but to me, he's one of the guys that I love to watch play because he's one of the smallest guys out there, and not one of the top tier guys that you would think of. But this kid gives you 110% on defense. He's a bulldog, and he's there, and he's just, and you see that he loves the game. He knows he's not going to score. Maybe he'll score 2, 3, 4 points a game, but he knows if he's locked on a defender, man, is he going to fight for every possession? Is he going to go out there? And that's what I feel ballers did for that specific child, and made him made him better, and made him feel like, what? Hey, I'm not that person who's going to give you the 25 points, and I'm not going to do these crazy moves where you arm my legs up and down and break ankles, but I'm going to be a lockdown defender, and that's going to be my target, my goal, and he did it.
And that's Sorry, what
I rambled. I rambled.
It was beautiful. What do you mean? That was beautiful. And just to piggyback on it a little bit, because I can't follow that up. You hit it all. I just think that the Ballers League and the system it implements for the kids, it kind of goes beyond basketball. Obviously, when you get in the game and you're in the moment, the basketball matters. And everyone's competitive and everyone loves to win and everyone loves to score. But after it, it's awesome to see the kids, and they're all friends. It's not a travel league. They're all best friends with each other. And it's fun to see them just after the game, talking about the game after and saying, oh, they always run out to me. I beat him this week. I beat him this week. And it's like, all right, cool. The smile on their face, it lights them up. And it's so awesome to see coming into the gym Sunday mornings and just seeing those kids getting ready to play. And after them going on about the game with their friends, for the whole week, they get to talk about it. So that's so awesome. Now, switching gears a little bit, it's still something that was, more of a startup at the center. And that's travel baseball. Travel baseball at the center, in my mind, was something that I never thought could have been achieved. Reason being, I didn't know if the infrastructure was there for a Jewish community center to be in a travel baseball league in Brooklyn. But albeit it's our 4th season going into travel baseball. It would have been our 4th season this year, And you know what? We go into that season and we're primed to be a championship team. In my opinion, obviously I'm the coach of that team along with Ezra. God bless Ezra. He's awesome. I love working with Ezra. He makes baseball, obviously makes it a little bit more stressful, but at the same time he makes it 100 times more fun to coach and to just be there in the moment. So why I say for me, I thought it was something that couldn't be achieved. The in-house programs that we had, on Sundays when I was younger, they weren't at the level that where I played also in outside leagues, even though I played in-house. But the system that was there was so much advanced, so much more advanced than what the center had at the time for baseball. It was sort of like the center's baseball was sort of like the Sandlot at that point. When I was about 10 years ago, and to see in 5 years where we came with that first year of travel baseball, and we win in the Kings Bay League, and then me and Ezra come on, and we think, how can we revamp this? How can we take it to the next level? And it started with getting more kids on board. I think once kids saw that it was something that their friends were doing and that they won a championship, they had so much fun, they talked about it over the summer. They came in the next year and they said, "Hey, I want to play baseball too. I want to try out for the team." And through those tryouts, we saw like, whoa, there's a lot more talent here than we thought we had. What happened behind the scenes that really gave that baseball program the extra kick that it needed?
So it's funny. The travel baseball, in a sense, was brought to us also from an outside parent who was doing it before in a smaller, I should say, a smaller scale, but in a different organization, and brought it to the center. I didn't envision it just the same way you didn't envision it, because, as like I said earlier, it seemed that basketball was the more dominant sport that everybody was going to. Now, back in the day of my childhood, the intramural leagues that we had for baseball were amazing, and probably the top tier that we've ever had in a very long time. And as time progressed, and new day and new age, that sort of fell to the wayside. We started that first year in travel baseball, and again, we were also in the Kings Bay League, and it was just myself and Matt who were, basically running that team at the time, with a group of kids. And yes, I know baseball, and I know Matt knows baseball, but yes, are we the elite coaches of every known thing? No, not even by a long shot. But it gave us the experience, and these kids the experience of playing versus the outside competition and showing the work that really goes into it. And yes, we won that season. We had to drive back from Jersey in order to play in that season. And I know then you and Ezra come along, and you guys are a dynamic duo that feed off each other, and have a system that works for you and the team. To get them where they needed to go, and I believe winning also in the Kings Bay League, and then we brought it to a different level. And then we said, you know what, we thought that competition wasn't enough for you guys, and we said, you know what, let's try something different. And we joined a different league, and I think we got a good taste after the first game of what that season was going to entail.
That was last season, right?
Yeah, I think that was
in
last
Kiwanis.
season.
Yeah, we got demolished that first game, and you know what? I think we lost more than 10-0 in that game, I think. And guess who was playing? Guess who was playing at the end of the season? We were a few outs away from really becoming the champions in that league after getting totally blown out of the water by that dominant team. We met them again in the championship, and you know what? Me and Ezra sat down after that game, and we said, "All right, obviously now we knew that we were getting into something much, much more difficult, and we knew that it was going to be a season where we're going to have to really ramp up the education part of our coaching, and the fundamental part of our coaching, more than just managing the game. even though that was so important, and managing the game was one of the reasons why we eventually fell short, just because we were one pitcher short. That's how I feel about it. I'm sure Ezra feels the same way. We were one pitcher short from coming back and beating that Goliath team over the season.
But just know also what we were dealing with at the time is these organizations that are playing in these leagues are have a system built. Whether they have their own fields or their own cages, and they live, eat, sleep the same way that our kids basically eat, sleep, basketball and going to the gyms and training. And for us, obviously, this is it's a little bit of a different situation. But for the fact that we were able, we went to a new league with new rules, not knowing what to expect, knowing that certain positions are definitely as important than the ones you would typically think, and what you guys were able to accomplish that season, even though you didn't necessarily win the championship, just getting there, beating that team in a beautiful fashion, and I think even for the kids, to them that win felt like that was a championship game for them. You guys got to give yourselves a lot of credit, because it's not easy, and as coaches, being able to, the training aspect of it is much harder, and you're dealing with outdoor spaces and weather, and getting everybody to buy into a system that is not necessarily an easy system to buy into. It's a lot of hard work and putting in a lot of attention to detail and situational training for baseball. It's different than basketball. You know what I mean? You can't sort of predict in basketball what may happen. We can run plays and we can do all these things, but a defender or an offensive guy can foil that within an instant. But in baseball, if a ball is hit in a certain area, you need to know where you're going to be standing, where you're moving to, who's covering a base. That's all situational. Remembering that in your head as a kid, it's tough. It's almost as a tougher sport, to be able to remember all those things and knowing it. And even for a pitcher, the ball gets hit, and the guy's rounding second. Where is that pitcher supposed to be standing? Is he supposed to be standing on a mound? Is he backing up the third baseman because the throw may come in, or maybe it overthrown? There's so many situational things going on for those kids, and I give you guys tremendous credit getting them to a level of showing them that they belong in that league, and that they can beat anybody in any given day once they play the game, obviously, in the right way.
And I give the kids credit at the same time, just because from when they started in the 8U league to where they were last year, I think 2 seasons later, the situational part of the game, they became so much more adapt to it. Obviously not 100% yet. There was still those little things that made the difference in the game, but that happens in Major League Baseball at the same time. Brain farts happen in any sort of league.
Yep.
So for the kids to be able to pick it up and to want to be able to pick it up so quickly, I have to give them so much credit for that. And like you said, me and Ezra feed off each other when we're coaching. I think the kids feed off Ezra and I just as much as we feed off each other when they're learning from us. And I think one way where I can explain when you say me and Ezra feed off each other was the way we got to that championship series last year. I don't know if you were at the game. I think you were. It was that Sunday morning. I forgot which team we were playing, but we were in a tie game. Morris Creddy's at the plate with 2 outs, and Samuel Cheer is on third. And I send Sam. Sam to steal home on the pitcher. I love Morris. I have all the confidence in the world in him to put this ball in play. But even if he does put the ball in play right now, will we get this run? I don't know. So you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And that was the Ezra in me. And I can tell you, Ezra was so scared seeing him run down that line, because I saw in the video after where Ezra's like looking, and then he like jumps up and down after. And like, you hear Matt in the back like, oh, he's stealing home. And when he crossed the plate, everyone was like, wait, what just happened? And I'm like, Yeah, I guess so. I guess we just stole home to go to the championship.
It was something. I don't know if I was at that game. I remember entirely, but I remember seeing the video of it and thinking to myself, I can't believe this call right now. And I said, listen, sometimes you got to go big or go home, and sometimes it's the unexpected that those things. The other team is not expecting that, and they're thinking, oh, you're going to be cautious. You have a man on third, you have a guy on the plate, you're going to try to, maybe squeeze them or do whatever you're going to try to do. And sometimes you have to make those bold moves, and sometimes they work out like the way you hope it does. Sometimes it doesn't, but you can't be afraid to make those calls sometimes. And as much as if it would have went negatively, obviously it would have, been a different type of feeling, but you to credit to you and credit to Sam and to and to you and Ezra obviously is what you guys were able to do with that team. They're a great group of boys who, like I said, they feed off each other as well, and they love the game of baseball, and you see it on them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were willing
Absolutely.
to put in the work in order to get to where they had to get to. And yes, the outcome unfortunately wasn't the championship, but to me, where you start off that first game walking in with a deer in headlights, not knowing and getting, blown to smithereens, and you could have definitely just easily said, I'm going to fold and I'm going to be something of, of that nature. They rose to the occasion, and that's what it's all about.
So I think that call was my progression as a coach, and I know Ezra will laugh at this because when I was coaching third base, I was so timid sending kids home, from second to third, sending them home. And he always used to get on me. He's like, why didn't you send them? Why didn't you send them? And I'm like, dude, we're putting the ball in play. Don't worry. He's like, no, you got to send them. We could score there. And I'm like, all right, no problem. I'll send them next time. And just seeing the progression. And I think that kind of embodies the progression that we made from over those 2 years, where even I'm coming out of my shell a little bit and being more aggressive coaching third. And those kids saying like, all right, let's do this. Let's steal home right now to send us to the championship. I think that really embodies it in a nutshell. So we'll move on from baseball. We'll go back to basketball here, but now we'll talk travel basketball. I think Richie Simon, he gets all the credit in the world for bringing that program to where it is. And if you walk into the center and you look up in the red gym, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
95% of the championship banners are his, dating back to 2000. When you first got started in that travel basketball league, what was it like compared to what it is today? And again, why is it so important for the kids to have that league in the center?
Wow. So it's funny. I started that, it must have been in 2000, and I can't remember the year it was. It had to have been 2009 because that team is now graduating high school this year. So I want to say it's around that time.
Mm-hmm.
And, I love the game of basketball. I'm by far obviously not the best player in the community or in the world. But, part of me also wanted to give back and be able and try this. And I didn't know what it would be like. I had a group of kids, and obviously, being able and working at camp and working with kids and doing programs helps you in getting the kids engaged and buying into what you're going to sell them. But at the same time, I had to know the knowledge of basketball and for them to understand that we're going to be playing outside teams and teams that might be better than us in a competitive league. When I first did this, I did not expect, I didn't expect it the way it turned out. Seeing the banners that, Richie Simon coaching, and I believe it was only 6th, 7th, and 8th grades at the time when, the Mustangs were a name, and then the Wildcats became a bigger name. And we started to branch this out and to make it, for kids as young as 4th grade. And that's the team that myself and your brother Aby, took upon. And that season to me was a season to remember the same way, and I'm sure we'll touch upon it later on. Our battles, later on, as if I don't have a good history versus the Towel boys.
I know it'll be tough for you, but yeah, I'm going to bring it up for sure. I'm glad you know that.
But that season, we had a team on that was 13-1, and we thought that we were unbeatable. And when we played versus the other center team, because there were two center teams at the time that were playing, in that league, they were very close games. But there were the Hawks and the Bucks. The Hawks were always able to edge them out by 2 points, 3 points. It was always a close game. And I think we played each other 3 times that season, and the Hawks were 3-0. Come to the finals, and it happens to be that we are facing each other in the finals. And to tell you that feeling in that gym, I've gotten to witness it now 3 times when the center teams have to face each other. And it's like no other. And I think I was probably more nervous than the kids were probably playing in that game. That game doesn't go our way, and we lose. And it was a tough heartbreak one for those kids because they thought they were untouchable. And the way we were playing that season, we felt like that. And it gave us a reality check, and it gave us a way that said, you know what? It's not only about the winning and the losing. And yes, the ultimate goal, like I said earlier, is about winning the championships and trying to win. But that was probably gave these kids the feeling of what it's going to be like for them playing in their schools, and whether it be in elementary school and high school, because that's the feeling it felt like. It was a feeling of, playing in a sellout crowd in a center gym, people chanting and screaming and yelling, and you could barely hear anything that the coaches are telling them on the court. And it was a feeling I think these kids will definitely remember till this day. And I think that made them grow into those, basketball stars of today. I think that had to have been their stepping stone of getting better, because at that time, obviously, there was no Ballers League. There was really no in-house league. There was free play, and they had their scrimmages, and they could whatever. But for them at that time, that's where they got their competitive ball playing, was through those travel teams.
For sure. And I was a part of the travel teams as a kid playing, and I know when I was able to be a part of 2 of the center versus center championship games, and one playing and one coaching. For the center to be able to have enough kids to make 2 teams, put them in a super competitive outside league, and then at the end of the day turn back again and be in the same gym playing against each other, playing for the championship of that league, it goes to show how far basketball has come in our community, and how much it's progressing, and it's going to keep getting better in our community. So let's talk about center versus center championship games. I know this one hurts you a little bit, but back in 2018, when 4th grade basketball was all the craze in the center, and we have the superstars that we know now, they're going into 7th grade next year, and they're going to be awesome. I can't wait to see them play next year once all this COVID disaster is over, and hopefully we can get back to basketball next year. But let's go back to 2018 a little bit. That season was spectacular for both of us. I think we lost maybe 2 games combined that whole season coming into that championship game. And believe it or not, we were sort of the underdogs a little bit. And you know what? They felt it. They knew it. They knew that they were like those underdogs, that we were going to come in and we were going to shock the center. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know my whole story about that day. It started with winning a Ballers championship in the morning, without our best player on the team, against A.B. Rossow's squad, and that gave me a little bit of a headache, because A.B. Rossow is loud in the gym.
Oh yes.
Indeed. And then I went home. I chilled out for a little bit, And I'm like, all right, time to go win another championship. Let's do this. And I get
and get dressed up pretty nicely, I might add.
Yeah, I'll throw a picture in there. I'll show you guys. I was that's something that I learned from AB when I first when I got involved with coaching. When I showed up to AB's first game of the season 3 years prior, and then no, it was 2 years prior, and then I never left the gym after that, and 2 years after that picked up my first team in 2018 and ran them all the way to that championship game. Right. I walked in there and I was a little nervous. I was 18 years old, coaching travel basketball for the first time, and it's a center versus center championship game. I want to know your story throughout that day. I want to see it from your point of view that day. I know it's tough, but I want to hear that your perspective on that day for the first time.
To tell you, if I can remember the day yesterday, that would be a blessing in disguise. To tell you to remember that whole entire day, I'm sure there was Sunday program or something in the mix of that day. But we felt confident going into that game, but we knew it was going to be a battle. And we knew at that time we had a target on our back. And it's never easy, obviously, playing, center versus center, because at the end of the day, they're all our kids, and we all love them each and every way, and we all want them to succeed. But obviously, there has to be a winner and a loser in this, and for that day, it happened to be us. That game had so many ups and downs. It was a roller coaster beyond a roller coaster. And then you could correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that game went into overtime, if not two.
Went into overtime. I'm not sure about the double overtime, but I think
maybe only one.
Overtime. I think it was only one overtime.
And it was that gym feeling also, obviously it was for me that, probably top 2, top 3 of the games that I've ever witnessed, because it was a battle. It was a battle from beginning to end. The feeling in that gym, like I said, it was amazing. And I remember, and I'm sure you remember as well, prior to that game beginning, and the crowd was just, ginormous. I think they were going up to the track to just even get a better view, because it was a standing room only. We brought everybody to center court, and we had a pep talk with everybody, and we explained to them, hey, this is it's an amazing accomplishment. We're both here. It's two center teams. At the end of the day, we're one family, and we're all here. This is all for you. You guys all deserve this. But at the end of the day, win, lose, or draw, we walk out with our heads high, and we shake hands, and we're friends after all of this. Because at the end of the day, these are kids who are all close and friends and talking in the same schools, and they see each other nonstop playing the game that they love, the game of basketball. But yeah, that game, it was bittersweet for me. The bitter part, obviously, losing, because the kids, I know, they wanted it. The sweet part was the hard work that you guys put into your team, and watching their excitement, and watching all your hard work with these kids pay off. Because now I'm going to toot your horn a little bit, and watching you grow through the whole entire experience from where you were when you were playing with Richie Simon in the days of, the Wildcats and the Grizzlies and Panthers, or whatever those teams were for you, and watching you grow, through programs and through the camp and all these things led you to this day, where you were able to give your expertise, where baseball, we know everybody knows you as a baseball guy, and you've played that pretty much your career. I don't think a lot of people knew you as a basketball guy, and that thought of you as somebody who can bring kids' games into a next level, and to have their confidence build up, and to bring a whole team and bring them together. And that's what was the most amazing part about you, is that no matter what, and no matter what team is given to you, or no matter what any of the type of circumstances, you always see the positive, and you always show them, and you live through examples of, what, I'm in this with you, and I'm going to show you that, yes, we're going to work hard, and yes, we could be an underdog, and no matter what, but we're going to do this together as a family. And I may mess this up, and I apologize. And I'm sure if the kids were watching this, they'd be upset that I was even attempting this. But in your huddles, and whether it be basketball or baseball, it's and I know it's 1, 2, 3 something, and then 4, 5, 6 family,
and family, yeah.
And that's what it's about. It's about being a family, because you're going to go through your ups, you're going to go through your downs, you're going to have your wins, you're going to have your losses, you're going to have your mistakes, you're going to have your great moments. But at the end of the day, you're family. And where I brought this up way beginning of this podcast was this is what it's about, because if the kids can't pick each other up throughout these type of these occasions, and we've seen it in our times where sometimes the kid shoots a ball into the wrong basket, or sometimes the kid makes
and you know what, the thing about the shooting the ball into the wrong basket is that a lot of these kids, where it's their first few games playing, they don't know what to do with the ball. But it seems that every time that they get to the wrong basket, they take a professional layup right at that wrong hoop. And I say it to you every time. I'm like, Harry, this kid, it's his first few games. God bless him, but he just took a professional layup on the wrong basket, but he couldn't even dribble it the right way to his basket.
And you see the deflation, because now they realize that it happened. But when you see that your teammates are there saying, don't worry about it, it's okay. Yeah. As opposed to saying, oh, what'd you do? Oh, you stink. Oh, why are you on the team? That's where it's important. And I'm going to throw a story that has nothing to do with, the center per se, but this is something more personal to me. Playing in high school, I was playing softball, and baseball was more my first love than basketball at the time. And I was on the softball team for, I believe it was my junior and senior year. And the original position that I was trying out for was second base. That was my base. But at the time, there were so many other players that I thought that were better suited for it. And playing for a varsity team, you're coming in as a junior, you're now, competing juniors and seniors. So it was a little bit hard. So I went for a different position. I went for a position that I thought was a little bit more unique, and that was being a pitcher. And I never tried it before. I never did it. And the first time I actually ever tried it was at tryouts. And I ended up being able to throw the ball over the plate, and ended up making the team as a pitcher. I don't remember if this was my junior year or my senior year. And my friend Daniel could probably remember it better than I can, because his brain is much better than mine. But there was one game we were playing, I believe it was either versus Sade or versus Tab at the time. And I had probably one of my worst games, in the history of sports. And I must have walked, and this is no joke, 16 batters in a game. And we obviously lost that game. And it was deflating for me, confidence-wise. And I know that my teammates were, obviously in the back of their mind were a little bit distraught because they lost the game. But they picked me up in ways that I can't even tell you, because I could have just said, you know what, I'm not pitching again. That was just terrible. They could have just, killed me for, losing the game for them, because it was basically, you can't walk 16 batters and expect to win. The next game, we play our rivals Flatbush. I was playing for Mag and David at the time. We were playing in Flatbush at their home. And I pitched a 2-hitter. And if it wasn't for them picking me up and telling me, it's all right, don't worry about it, you'll get out there next time. And yes, even though whether they believed it or not, for my psyche and for any kid's psyche, that it's about. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have those games where you're going to shoot in the wrong basket. You're going to make a travel. You're going to make a pass that gets stolen and may lead to a basket. You could have 16 walks in the game, but it's what you do after that and how you pick each other up and how you're going to go for the next game. And to me, that's the importance of being a team. And I think that's what you instill in your players, in your travel. And I think that's what gave them the energy to beat us in that championship was the belief that they could, and we knew that they could too. And they needed to believe it, and by you instilling that in them, was the sole, not the sole fact, was the reason that that banner is so monumental for you and for those players, and it's something of pride when they walk into the gym because they know how hard it was to throughout that whole entire season. And the ultimate goal was to win that championship. And I wouldn't have wanted to lose to any other person than to you or to AB, because you guys are both, tremendous people inside and out, on and off the court, and give your all to these kids the same way that I do as well. This is what we want to give back, and that's the end goal. We want to give back and to the kids, to what we've been able to get when we were kids. And that ultimate goal of seeing your name on the Raptors is golden, and it's a great feeling, and you guys deserved it 110% to win that championship game. You guys fought tooth, nail, and hammer. And like I said, those boys are a great group of kids. And now you look at them now, like you said, they're going into 7th grade, and the majority of them
make me feel old, man.
The majority of them now are playing for their school teams and elitely, and to see where their game was in 4th grade and where they are now in 7th, and you see them between bowlers and in their school teams. It's great, and it's a great feeling to be a part of that process for them. Knowing that, yes, we started with them. We're not going to be the ones who finish them off. When they go through all the years of school and high school. But we know that we put them on that track and, gave them the wings to fly, to use a pun.
Absolutely. And I don't know where a lot of these kids would be without you in the center, and without your expertise and your mentality when it comes to coaching and just having programs in general. I just want to point out that I gave you a chance to take that game as a tie. When it went into overtime, we were both kneeling down by the scoring table, and I'm like, Harry, let's just call it a tie. I can't take this anymore. And you laughed, and I'm like, all right, to which your own. Whatever happens now.
I was more impressed at the fact that you were still in a suit and not,
Right after that, I took it off. Right after that, I took the jacket off and I rolled the sleeves up, and I was
sweating.
I was sweating bullets. And you know what? That whole overtime was so much fun to watch. And I know, like, that last possession where Michael Moseri was jumping back and forth between the inbounders and he knocked it out of bounds. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we were so close right there. That would have been it. And then that last time where Sam got the inbound and just put up that last shot, I didn't know how much time was on the clock, but I saw it going up, and I knew it was going to be the last shot of the game. And I saw it going up, and I'm like, oh my God, that's going in. No way that's going in. Because it was, he hit the dagger to send it to overtime from like half court. And I'm like, he's going to win the game like that again. Are you kidding me? And then I saw it going right, missing the rim, just missing the rim and going under the basket. And then I heard the buzzer, and I'm like, I can't wait to celebrate with these kids. It was just like, it wasn't like a moment. It was like, I can't wait to get out there and celebrate with the kids, just because I see how excited they are, and like, I can't wait to share that excitement with them.
Yeah, the first championship, and I remember winning it that first time after losing. I think it was back-to-back championships of my first 2 seasons, going to the championship and losing to a center team, and then going the next season and losing to another center team again in 5th grade. It was a surreal experience to finally, get your name up there with the greats of Richie Simon, and to be able to, win. And I think at that time we beat Flatbush Park, which is also, it's almost like an in-house rivalry because, we know them so well, and we play them very oftenly. But that feeling was a great feeling for myself and for, especially for the kids. Like you said, that game was probably one of the most memorable moments and travel basketball history, and just the way that gym was. And I have pictures. I was trying to look at my phone as we were talking just to see, because I have the pictures of that day. I keep it as a memory in my mind. But just to remember, and I have a good picture of me and you, hugging and shaking hands. Because at the end of the day, we're brothers. We're not brothers maternally, but we're brothers in the fact that we've given all that we can. At that point, we left everything on the court. The kids left everything on the court, that's for sure. And it was just almost like we were exhausted because it was like one of those battles. Season. Like it was intense, and I was very proud of you in that moment, and as you should be proud of yourself, and the kids obviously should be proud of themselves for what Absolutely. They were able to accomplish.
Thank you. Well, Harry, thank you so much for being on. That was really awesome. I think anyone that's really working with kids and coaching and training, whatever it may be, they have so much that they can learn from you and your years of experience and the way you approach coaching and developing children to being not only great athletes, but great people moving forward as well.
One thing I wanted to mention, as we're talking about dealing with children and coaching and things like that, there's many people who I can thank for getting me to that position, and being able to work alongside a lot of greats in my time. One being your mom, who was detrimental to my success, and to Amir and to Richie Simon and to all these people who were able to get me to that level, because it's not easy working with children. You can attest to it, and
not even close.
It has its ups and it has its downs. But I'm sorry, I'm making this go a little bit longer, but I'm not usually on the other end of this, so I'm getting it all out.
Right. Take it all out. Take it all.
But I remember the day where I decided I wanted to work with children, and it's clear as a memory as my children's births, and because it was a momentous occasion where I realized that this is something that I wanted to do with my life. And I remember the day where I was working in jewelry in the city, and I'm not a guy who knows anything about jewelry, and I knew nothing, and I was working in the city, and yes, making a lot more money than I was probably going to get, starting to make at the center. But I wasn't happy. And I was home not happy. And miraculously, I got a phone call one day saying, hey, do you want to come work, at the center and doing this? And of course, I've been in camp. I've always worked every summer in camp since I can ever remember, except for maybe 1 year. And, so I knew the gist of what I was getting myself into. But the fact that I'm able to make a difference in kids' lives, and to see the success stories that we see, some that are unknown to the public eye, what we do on a day-to-day basis, is why the community center is so important to everybody out there. And so to give thanks to those people who I mentioned, and to give thanks to my parents and to you, working alongside such great people who have the same vision, like yourself and Abby, and it makes it easier. And myself and Richie, and I'm sure Richie will attest it, we're blessed to have you guys there, being able to teach the game, whether it be in basketball or baseball, to these kids, because it's not an easy thing. And especially nowadays with technology and everything is, at their disposal, unlike where we had to really go out there and find it. And it makes it even harder for us, but it's just to attest to what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. It shouldn't go unnoticed that the same way you do how hard you work and how hard we all work, and to make it a memorable experience for the kids.
Sure. And Harry, cheers to you. Thank you for being on. That was really some, not even insight, just great life stories and really just great perspective on coaching and just handling the mentality of children and really growing them to being, once again, not only great athletes, but great people in the future. Thank you so much for being on, Harry.
No, thank you for having me. This is great, and everybody should be tuning in to watch your podcast because they are amazing, and your knowledge of sports in general, whether it be center sports or professional sports. Um, you know a lot, and you bring it to them, and your insights are amazing. So everybody tune in for sure. Because this is going to be something big one day, and you're going to remember the name, the First Sports Blog. That's for sure.
There you go. It gets Harry's seal of approval. That's all we need. Thanks, Harry.